Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, into Heroes CCL Season 3, Week 2, Day number 2, and we're getting ready for our fourth and final matchup of the weekend. My name is Bahamut, joined by Grubby, Springy, and I guess Justin. Mostly Springy. That's the. I'm glad production caught it was Justin and Springy. We had a nice little break right there. We had an interview with Legacy, and I gotta be honest, chat, I was reading everything you were saying, and I'm just as confused by the pillar sitting on top of a counter. It structurally makes no sense in a house, but that's a conversation for us to have on a different date. Grubby, how are you doing, my friend? Are you ready for another best of 5 series?
I sure am, Bahamut. We got a cool series coming up between Chili Mountain and Simplicity. Simplicity took it back from the brink after falling behind 0-2 just 8 days ago. I wanted to say 7. 8 days ago. Let's see if they've woken up and will unleash their full power on the fury of Chili Mountain. Or if Chili Mountain can recover from their first debut, 0-3 against WildHearth, and get some map wins.
Now, we have the luck and the blessing, if you will, of Springy coming in. So, Justin, I could ask for your opinion, but I want to know Springy's opinion on this upcoming matchup as well.
She definitely wants to see some Medivh for the bird form. Other than that, that's pretty much her only desire, I think.
It's Medivh.
What about Leoric and Tomb? Does she like boxes, like boxing in?
Oh, she does like boxes, yeah. That is true. Medivh's her favorite. Really and last week against Chili, when Chili Mountain was playing, she was throwing a big tantrum. So I can't tell if she's a WildHearth fan or if she's a big Chili Mountain fan. Because when they were losing, she was tearing up some boxes in the real world. So we'll see.
Well, we'll have to see how this series goes, and that might be indicative of who Springy cheers for. But getting into the series, I do believe we can start breaking down who's on what side. And Grubby, who are we going to be seeing on that Chili Mountain blue side?
Chili Mountain, the legend from HGC, SMX, has returned to grace us with his healing powers again, but he has yet to draw his first map victory in the CCL. More proven and successful so far are players like Azerite, Indomitable on that ranged assassin role, and Max Passion on the side lane that has drawn a Chen ban last series. Even though it's a meta of bans on Brightwing, Stukov, and what have you, Junkrat the Haka. To get a Chen ban in the first 2 bans, that is some respect. And he is known for a Chen. You just saw Swamp Grota, he was pretty good. If Max Passion gets Chen, we could be in for some fun cake Ws.
Oh, I'd love to see some more Chens, some more kegs coming out in our best of 5s today. Though on the opposing side of the battlegrounds, Justin, who are we going to be seeing on this Simplicity roster?
We're going to see a very different Simplicity from last season with the addition of Fancy Pants, Mene, and Unaverted, replacing their former players. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Simplicity is this season because their roster, while they are Simplicity, is quite a bit different. And I think that both of these teams, Chili Mountain and Simplicity, are teams that I could see being in that top 2, top 1, top 3 position. But we're yet to find out. Chili Mountain got 0-3'd by WildHearth last week. And Simplicity, while they did win against Diamond Hands, it was by no means clean since they came back with that reverse sweep. I think these 2 teams, for me, are the biggest unknowns in the standings that we have. So I think it's going to be really good to see if either of these teams can really just step it up and just completely crush the other one. I would like to see that so that we have some more obvious favorites going forward in the season. But these 2 teams, for me, I really have no idea where they go in the standings. I don't know if they're first place contenders or 8th place contenders right now. It'll be really cool to see.
I'm excited to see how this matchup goes, and it's going to start, drawing the difference between these teams. I do want to actually draw attention to one big factor before we start talking about maps, and I can see who's in the lobby, and for a lot of Season 1 and Season 2 Simplicity fans, you're going to be happy to know that Cure is going to be in this first lobby. I don't know if he's playing all of the games today for Simplicity, or if this is just to come out the gate with a strong roster, because we all know from last season, from the 2-time champion of Simplicity, Cure was a massive anchor for Simplicity team in the draft, in the shot calling, and in their overall play style. Let's talk about where we're going to be heading, Grubby, because we have our first map ready to go, and what is it going to be?
It's going to be Tomb of the Spider Queen for the grounding map here, the starting point for the battle between these 2 teams. And this is a pick by the Simplicity, right? By Simplicity.
Yeah, you had it. For anyone wondering, the members of Chili Mountain opted for first pick priority, banning out Dragonshire, Simplicity getting rid of Battlefield of Eternity. So we could still see Volskaya, Alterac Pass, some Sky Temple potentially as well. There's a lot of really interesting maps. I don't think we've actually seen a Sky Temple map in CCL Season 3 yet, so I'd love to see us break ground on something like that. And it would actually be thematically perfect if our next map was Sky, because we would technically go from the map underneath the one above, you know? For anyone that doesn't know the lore, Sky Temple is above Tomb of the Spider Queen. That's why Harrison Jones jumps out of the well on Sky Temple. But either way, my lore aside, let's talk about what's happening in the draft. And Justin, I want to get your thoughts or even your expectations.
Yeah, I do want to say quick that I played this game for 6 years, and last season, from one of you mentioning it, was when on the broadcast, you mentioned that that's the way the map is, that Tomb is actually the floor of Sky Temple.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I played the game for so long, never knew it. So it's nice that we can get these.
How can you miss these crucial pieces of information?
Yeah,
you know, I got in an argument in my Twitch chat once because I said, "Oh, Haunted Mines is underneath Sky Temple," and someone was like, "No, it's not. It's Tomb." And then they brought up all those things, and I was like, well, actually, if you watch the Vikings release video, they fall off a Sky Temple into into Haunted Mines. So, well, you want to talk about that? But I guess the devs came out and corrected it. Anyways, let's get off the fact of lore. There's a lot of little cool things in Heroes of Storm that are just little tidbits that are always fun to bring up. But still, Justin, expectations for this matchup or Tomb?
Yeah, so you expect a lot of wave clear to be drafted on either side because it is Tomb. It's a really wave clear heavy map. Both Brightwing and Stukov are currently available with the bans. I would expect that they leave them both up and that they trade them. That being said, last time I said that, they opted to forego the Stukov and go with the Mouth. That won't be the case this time with Stukov being banned. So Brightwing is the obvious one. Lunara is also a big obvious choice for an early priority. I would expect it to be one of those two. If it's not one of those two, that's very surprising to me.
Grubby, same question to you. What are you thinking about for this first pick here for either side?
It's an obvious bait into Brightwing. And for that reason, it's risky. You get Brightwing, and then they get two heroes that maybe scale a little bit better against Brightwing. Like, it's the obvious choice, and I like not going into that, even if you're not sure what trap you might be walking in. I don't know if that's overthinking it and giving away a good pick, and it's just going to be Brightwing Diablo now from Simplicity. But I do think Chili Mountain thought about it. We saw them thinking. The gears were grinding. Gratefully picked up by Simplicity, though.
Do you like the Dahaka on a map like this, being able to utilize the enhanced agility to speed boost between lanes, or even tissue regeneration? Honest to God, I think Dahaka is just in such a good spot because you can even take the level 1. It's not Symbiosis. I'm blanking on the name off the top of my head, but it does give you that spell armor as well. And then pairs into Symbiosis at level 7 a little bit later for cooldown reduction. So Dahaka's in such a absolutely great spot when it comes to build playstyle. I don't think he's like overtuned, which is the nicest factor in all of this because he is counterable. You can still lose with the Dahaka, but we're getting this Murd and Sylvanas, and the Chili Mountain core composition is looking very strong, Justin.
Yeah, and something that Grubby discussed was the Brightwing being maybe foregone because of fear of a counter. Sylvanas does do very well into Brightwing, and Murden post level 10 with the Stormbolt piercing also does very well into Brightwing. If they're trying to save somebody, it's very risky for Brightwing to teleport into Sylvanas with a potential mind control or silencing arrow on top of that. I also wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe go into the Deckard with the Tehran being banned, which SMX did play Tehran on this map last week against Wildheart, and it didn't work out so well. They did also play into some Medivh shenanigans, so I don't know if they'll be kind of afraid of that this time. It doesn't appear to be the case. It looks like they're more worried about a double support composition coming out from Simplicity. The double globals on the side of Simplicity is also a little strange, but I do like, after seeing everything up to this point, I like what Chili Mountain has, but the draft is still fairly wide open at this point.
We are very early into the draft, and we get to get through some bans, and they will be targeting onto healers, funny enough. But I guess you still could go main tank Uther, which is an old Simplicity, I wouldn't say standard, but yeah, it's a nice target into Simplicity. But here is a Varian Lunara. I'm liking. I keep saying like I like this side, but I like the other. But now Simplicity, seeing what's being pieced together, I'm starting to really fall in love with this, Grubby.
It's an interesting role situation with Masquerade, MIA, and Cure playing. Cure, the Flex is playing tank, Mene is playing heal. Really wonder how they will avail themselves on these roles. But you could do worse than Brightwing Varian. while Brightwing does have a few special knowledge tricks, overall she's not the hardest to play, neither is Varian. So I feel like Simplicity is keeping it simple, which they should with the role swaps that they've got here. And Chili Mountain is coming in with far too few, with something we've seen far too little, Mephisto picks.
Yep.
Love the Mephisto coming in. There's a Gul'dan, 2 mages we don't see as much love for. Love it.
I'm really worried about Simplicity. Simplicity's draft, it's good for the map. They have a lot of ways to play the map, but I think that when it comes to actual 5v5 team fighting, Lunara, Gul'dan, and then the remainder, none of them really have any tank killing prowess. Lunara has a little bit at level 16, but it's really, even then, it's still pretty weak. And if Muradin goes Avatar, which is to be expected, that's the standard, I foresee the Muradin being pretty much invincible against Simplicity. So I think if Simplicity wins this game, it's going to be through just better rotations and better macro. They do have the double globals, which enables them to do that. But I think that if it comes down to 5v5 team fights, I heavily favor Chili Mountain's composition in that regard.
It is... I agree, but at the same time, I'm also like, there's so much damage, there's so much lockdown, and like Varian taunt into drag from Dahaka into polymorph into just big damage from Lunara and Gul'dan. I feel like Mephisto is going to have a little bit of a trouble trying to actually, I was going to say blink, but use the Shade of Mephisto to jump into the enemy team. I feel like this Simplicity roster that was put together, the composition is very, very punishing. So we'll see what happens. I could be completely wrong, and Justin could be absolutely big braining right now. We'll find out at the end of the game. Thank you, Justin, for the breakdown analysis. As we've got in the left, in the blue, Chili Mountain, Make on the Mephisto, Max Passion on the Muradin, Burgult on the Urel, Azerite playing the Sylvanas, and Smexy on the Malfurion. Over in the red, in the right, Simplicity. We have got Cure on the Varian, Fancy Pants on the Dahaka, Unaverted playing Lunara, Mene on the Gul'dan, and Legacy playing Brightwing. I have a feeling that Simplicity knows exactly how they want to execute this composition, Grubby, and I'm going to call for a Simplicity win, but I want to get your detailed analysis, if you will.
Okay, so let's first talk about roles. Obviously, Legacy is going to be on that healer. They had the swap, and I think teams should do this more, even if sometimes I get a little confused and I call the wrong player on the wrong hero. After all, Masquerade is missing, not the healer Legacy. But I think teams should do that more. Just completely random order pick and fix everything in swap phase.
Yeah.
And now we've got Mene on Gul'dan. I said last week, Mene should be more on heroes like Kel'Thas Gul'dan that he used to perform so great on. He's going to know that hero in and out, despite the rather large time gap since the last time he played that. Love to see it. And then Cure is going to be on Varian. And on the left side, we've got Max Passion switched away from side lane. Mm-hmm. And he's going to be the main tank, whereas Burghold, who has been main tank on heroes like Varian and Tyrael quite often for this team, he's now going to be the off lane. So they swapped out those roles. That's so much as roles go. In terms of draft, I like Chili Mountain's draft more, but Simplicity's level and Mene's Gul'dan could be quite good, despite the weird role of Cure being on tank. I'd say normally, if I didn't look at team names, Chili Mountain for me. 60% better, like 60% versus 40% in terms of draft. With the level, I think it's going to be closer to 50-50.
No, I would agree with you. I mean, Justin has made points, and we've all talked about this. It's just, what's the scaling factor for both these teams? We've only seen 1 week from both teams, and definitely Simplicity looking a little shaky up against Diamond Hands in the first 2 maps in that best of 5, but still reeling it in and taking that series in a reverse sweep. But here comes a dive onto Cure. There's going to be a Soothing Mist from Legacy and a disengage from our Simplicity roster. Actually, no, it's a re-engage. There's a charge in. No level 4 just yet, so there's no taunt from the Varian. Just about to come through as we have both teams pushing into this mid lane. Burgult dives in with the Righteous Hammer, trying to actually push Cure into the enemy team, but he is going to be able to back away, getting some proc healing from Legacy, as Mene is going to try and drain Make, but Mephisto is a little bit stronger, and it seems like the wave kind of wins to the side of Chili Mountain as they're able to break off into top and bottom a little bit faster.
Yeah, Mephisto, that hero that always buys a return ticket when he goes on the train. He's not going to stay long, and that drain life doesn't have much grip on him. Meanwhile, Make absolutely unloaded hero damage. Just gonna take a quick look. He's at 9,000 hero damage almost. Gul'dan 8,500 himself. Actually, they're dead even right now. Both 8,500. So these two majors are gonna be the big punchers, the big boxers. There's a taunt on Sylvanas. There is no cleanse for taunt from Malfurion, as far as I know.
Doesn't have a 4 yet. No priority from Smexy on what 4 talent it's going to be. But this is what I was talking about in the draft. You're going to have Taunt into Polymorph into what I expect to be big burst damage between Unaverted and Mene, because that Lunara does have that level 7 choking... Noxious Blossom? No, Noxious Blossom's the talent. It's Choking Pollen, I think, is the level 7.
Pollen, yeah.
Okay, I juked myself in my own brain, but that's going to be a lot of available burst into these targets that stand still, so Lunara can get the free 3 stacks of her poison. But we'll have to see if that's even the talent, because right now it's going to be the Nature's Calling at level 4 for a little extra, well, damage into anything but heroes.
What I really like about Gul'dan into Malfurion is that Malfurion gives these big heals over time that show up as a light blue bar, whereas Poison, depending on your color settings, is usually a brown bar.
Yeah, for me... Yeah, go ahead.
The UI doesn't have a method to distinguish the amount of poison damage or the rate of poison damage from the healing over time. So you could have a hero that has 400 health and it looks like he's going to heal to full from regrowth, but he will actually take quicker DPS over time from Gul'dan and die. So Gul'dan into Malf, it's really hard to know as the Malf team whether you're going to die or not.
Oh, that root bought enough time for Max Passion to dwarf toss away. But I agree. I mean, it's those situations where you get dotted up or damage over time from a Lunara or a Gul'dan. You rush back to your well and you're like, I can do it. I can tap well. And then you're standing there and your bar is still ticking down faster than it's ticking up. It's like, oh, I just wasted a 2-minute cooldown on my well. And then now I'm dead.
Exactly. Taunt there just to try and buy time for the gems, but his team actually follows up. Max Passion survives. He's got that dwarf block. He's got second wind. He could rejoin the battle if he stays out for a few seconds. There he starts to heal up again. Max Passion getting ready. He's got full mana pool. Bolt misses. Meanwhile, Berghold by himself does get a really nice hammer. He starts to take so much damage. I don't know how he's still alive. It's going to be a 1-for-1.
Trade, but Make getting low. The drain is going to be available. Mene not able to get the last little bit of that drain to be getting a kill. Unaverted low as well. Make steps forward once again. Fancy Pants just trying to anchor for the friendly team as Max Passion's doing the same thing in the in the top turn-in area. But speaking of top turn-in, this is looking like Sylvanas is going to be able to get those last gems in. Azerite able to summon the Web Weavers to the side of Chili Mountain. And so far, with the trade into each other, it seems like Chili Mountain's doing okay. They're not freezing out the competition. Simplicity definitely rallying in these team fights.
Yeah, it's pretty good to be at this point into a Variant taunt. Now, Variant's strongest power spike is 20, then 16, and then 4. So while 4 to 9 does give you a nice advantage, it's really his 16-20 banner synergy that makes him such a late game monster. Funnily enough, just his activatable. None of his base kit, just the banner and the healing it offers, the bonuses it offers. To be ahead against Varian this early is probably a good sign for Chili Mountain, but the fat lady hasn't sang yet. I don't know if that's actually still an okay idiom to use, probably not. But anyway, the Chili Mountain, they're doing good, but late game battles can still decide everything.
We have 10 Talonteers coming through, and some decisions need to be made by the members of Chili Mountain and Simplicity. Nothing crazy out of the ordinary. No no Consume Soul from Make or anything. It's going to be the Durance of Hate layered with the Wailing Arrow, so there's going to be some good synergies between those two heroics. Murden did go Avatar as discussed. I think going into like a Haymaker here would disrupt a lot of what you could set up with Durance of Hate and Wailing Arrow. But on the opposing side, Grubby, this is the Leaping Strike Lunara and also Horrify from Gul'dan. So good split, lockdown, burst potential from our Simplicity roster. Though the execution is the thing that really needs to come through for them.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll see how that goes. I think Gul'dan and Mene can hit some sick Horrifies. Used to be known for that for sure. And we got 35 stacks of Corruption.
Wow.
I'd say that's a really good amount.
That's
by this
insane.
time.
It's not easy to do.
Most people try to race it to 16. Can they get it by 16? He's got it almost by 11.
They've also got a kill into Sylvanas and some zoning onto those gems, trying to make sure that the enemy team can't step forward. Durance of Hate will miss, and Max Passion's not able to get the gems. They expire just as he's working his way down to the few that are on the ground. But Yrel now just being pressured by Unaverted, and that's that big burst from the level 7, that choking pollen coming through. As Varian did go shield wall at 10, protection status by the way when he hits that W. But now here come the red web weavers for the side of Simplicity, and we'll see how much pressure they can apply through these lanes.
I would love to get some comms here, maybe for Simplicity. Sure. Hopefully we can give them both that treatment. Let's jump in.
Into Simplicity we go.
And maybe Lunara stays top and we 3 mid. Watch my top here.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait between until we're...
I jump home. Just chunk him.
I'm gonna go top. Are you guys okay?
Back here.
That did a lot of damage. Really good.
Okay.
I still have Z.
I'm full psych, it's over.
Careful there.
They're 4 mid.
Go top, we go top.
I'm winning bottom really hard.
I interrupt this rotation.
I can.
They're going on.
You have a ton.
I couldn't answer it. Now?
Okay.
Too far. Durance down.
No Durance, yeah.
I still have taunt.
Look at him behind. Like
2 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds.
I'm just clearing the way this time. So.
Yeah, I'm clearing top car.
I'm gonna start bot camp. On top.
I get this.
I have cleanse now.
I have Z.
We have another
Come
here.
on bot camp, make sure you're...
Yeah, we're here.
Just watch turns and let him get bot.
Need to re-wisp in a second.
I jump in. Yeah.
Where's top? Where's rotating down?
Oh,
we got the nude for free. On bot.
You're on ulti.
Are you okay?
We're out.
We're up 13.
Taunt in 5.
Next taunt we go, I think.
Taunt in 3.
I have to come late. They're holding bottom right.
They might be turning.
Don't let him pay. Yeah, look. I got him.
Yeah,
I'm coming.
Hey, break up.
Kill him.
I got mouth. Yeah, mouth. Nice. I poly 3.
I think he has jump, right?
Poly 2. Okay.
I'm flanking again.
You're cleansed.
Keep chasing. Look at me.
I got time.
We on mirror.
Look.
Building.
I have Z.
Hit.
Anyone or no?
No. I'm going double sword.
I'm literally killing him.
Poly.
Yeah, we got him. Do we want a boss or just pay?
I got 40 seconds in.
Okay.
I'm catching another bot.
Yeah, I'm watching.
I have to say,
That's good.
Grubby, I like
That's
that
really
Cure
good.
is omega far down bottom lane. Look at me. Everyone else is on the other side of bottom, killing the Malfurion, and then he still gets the kill.
Mena's like, no, I'm gonna do double soak, I don't care. And then, is there anyone at all out there?
Right.
Is there anyone at all out there? Legacy ports in, and it's enough. Did you see that little jitter he did with the body blocking? He's like,
Yeah.
like
wiggle.
Family Guy, the little baby that doesn't allow people past the staircase. That was Cure getting the blocks on Mephisto. They got the kill, and then the relaxed laughter. Love it.
I gotta say, that was perfect call for comms there, Grubby. We got to hear a lot of cool stuff, but also, I really liked just playing off of the taunt. Now, Cure taking a lot of damage is going to get the phase shift from Brightwing. Now, Brightwing is going to get hit with the Durance of Hate. There will be a Soothing Mist. Legacy is just blink healing out of his mind to get out of this. Cure diving back into the enemy side. Horrify from Gul'dan is going to split Max Passion. Oh my god, Burgolt is forced to utilize the Ardent Defender, and that's the big poison damage, the big burst that I was expecting when we were talking about this draft from Simplicity. And Mene, Unaverted, doing a great job on this Gul'dan Lunara, and a boss will be called for the side of Simplicity. And they have the available turn on top of this, but Grubby, I believe we got a nice little replay of that big fight in bottom lane.
Yeah, that's how it started. They popped the bubble on Yrel previously. Then they got the taunt Horrify by Mene and Cure. They knew that now it was good to go for her. We had the massive corruption into Fell Flame and Drain Life, now chasing down Murden. Polymorph cooldowns were being called out. Brightwing tanking that shot, and then Varian by himself. Is there anyone out there? Look at those body blocks. It's very effective. He's slowing him down at least a second or two back to the gate. There's a big slow from the Lion Fang. Brightwing came in, and Lunara felt sorry for him that no one wanted to help him, and decided, let's go and help him. Even though Cure was, quote-unquote, literally killing him right now.
You also made a very good point, Grubby, and we jumped into the comms just as this was completed, but actually I might have to hold that thought. Siege continuing into this top lane. the biggest thing I want to note is, oh my god!
Wow.
Muradin getting shredded. Hold on, we have Burgled very low, righteous hammer to disengage, but here comes Cure with another charge. No taunt to follow up as it's on a 7-second cooldown. But it was Gul'dan and Varian finishing out the Lion's Maw and the Echoed Corruption just as we got in those comms. And as you said, Mephisto being slowed, the Lion's Maw upgrade with the slow is from 25% to 50%. So Cure having that done for that chase in the top was integral in finding the integral? Yeah, either way. In finding the kill into Mephisto. Just little things like that are just really working so hard and well for the side of Simplicity as they have taken a top lane keep and looking for a mid lane. And 16 Grubby is just about to be hit by the side of Chili Mountain.
Just too late. They've already lost the keep. They're going to try to do a big jump. There's the Stormbolt. There's the Legacy. Big heal. The critical missed at the critical time. Azurite jumping forward. Is he dead? Oh, huge damage from Mene. He's got to feel good about that one.
And Yrel will fall as well. Mene stepping forward. Huge Horrify is going to split the Mephisto. It's a solid triple kill for the members of Simplicity as Smexy is being body blocked to the moon. That's a quad kill. Max Passion dives back in. The drag connects. Fancy Pants setting up the kill. Cure able to find the last auto attack, or it might be the damage of Lunara. No, it's going to be Cure finding the ace, the pentakill for the side of Simplicity. The domination is through, and Simplicity says, hey, casters, we heard you talking about Diamond Hands speedrunning. Well, we're going to win map number 1 about 45 seconds faster. GG over to the side of Simplicity. They come out the gate swinging and showcasing us that none of these players are rusty. None of these players have any issues communicating, executing, and being the simple Simplicity roster as we've seen in past seasons, Grubby. GG, well played to the side of Simplicity in that map.
Yeah.
I have no more words, honestly.
Everybody played so well. It's so good to see Mene Gul'dan again, a hero that pretty much nobody is playing, doesn't fit in the meta, blah, 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 blah. Boom, Mene Gul'dan, hitting the damage where it matters, finishing his quest by level 11 and level 12. And Cure on Varian. I guess if you can play the Haka Zeratul, you can probably play Varian as well. But it still worked out really nicely, like greased axles, Simplicity pumped win out here.
Justin, got to get you back in here because I'm sure you've got some thoughts on that destructive game from Simplicity.
Yeah, that game was really explosive. After the first turn-in from Chili Mountain, they didn't really get a lot. They tried to siege bottom, and then that was pretty much... They didn't even get... They maybe got the wall bottom, and then Simplicity was patient. The whole early game, everything was very, very even. Nothing too crazy was happening. They were just trading back and forth. The gem turn-in was even pretty much the same for both teams. Like 31 to 33 at one point. Like both teams were just super even. Chili Mountain gets the first turn in. That seems good, but they don't get anything with it. They push bottom. The defense from Simplicity is good. When Simplicity turns in, they get to pick mid. They create that whole situation that we went into comms and saw with Cure body blocking at the behind the fort. They get the bot fort and they snowball that. They go for boss. They get the top. They get their second turn in with the boss, and they just run it down top. They get a whole keep off of that. When Simplicity gets a little advantage, they really push it to its fullest extent. It just seemed like Chili Mountain sort of just got outclassed in this game. You had Berghalt and Max Passion role swapping. It really didn't look like it was working out for them in this game 1 at least. Simplicity was punishing both of them heavily. I'd say those two on the side of Chili Mountain were really the ones who were taking the brunt of what Simplicity was doing. I loved seeing Mene on Gul'dan. There's a reason that Mene is known for his mages. Gul'dan in particular is one of his best. You could hear in the comms when he hit the corruption and he got the 40 stacks. He's like, this game's over. GG, like the game's done. Like he called that in comms as soon as he finished his quest. And I mean, he was right. As soon as that's done, like look at how much damage it does to Sylvanas there. Just killing Azurite, just Mene's E. And yeah, they snowball, they take advantage, they push the advantage. And in a 14-minute and 20-second win, Simplicity just steamrolls them.
To be fair, Justin, I was at the Gold Club World Championship with Mene in 20, I want to say 17 or 18. And I was watching him then on Dignitas playing, and he would fly in with Falstad with the quest on the Hammerang. And he flew into the mid bush on Dragonshire and got a hit on 2 players. And he also called GG right then and there for 2 stacks of Hammerang. So you can't 100% trust him on it. Yeah, in this case, it was true.
I do. As we're getting ready for this next map, I actually have a question for you, Justin, because you had mentioned something, and it's something that I'm always curious about in my own games, and I think Simplicity executed so well in this concept is when you're slightly ahead, because Simplicity, they weren't levels and leaps beyond, they just kept getting this momentum. How do you continually make these what would be correct calls in just getting kills and rotation and pressure? How do you do this as a shot caller?
I think you could hear it in the comms from here that he's always looking for the opportunity. So they know too that as soon as something like taking a boss, if it's in a 5v5, that's a risky play. That's a bad thing to do. There's a low probability play. You don't want to do that. But as soon as you get a 1 pick, and if you're in a 5v4, especially with the way that Heroes of the Storm is post the XP changes, you need to take full advantage of every opportunity you have to have an advantage. If you have a 5v4, I like that they went and took the boss, that they're saying, at worst, we get a 5v4 team fight. That's great. Like, we like that. That the odds are in our favor here, and you could tell that they push their advantage, they snowball. I think if you can use anything to get you an advantage, it's really important that you can get the absolute most you can out of that, and Simplicity on full display showing exactly how to do that.
We'll see if Simplicity can continue to do that as we are ready to find out where we're going to head to for map number 2 in our second best of 5 of the day. And it's going to be another map choice by Simplicity as Chili Mountain has opted for first pick priority. And last week, Infernal Shrines was the map where Simplicity turned it around in the Diamond Hands best of 5 series reverse sweep. This seems like a comfort map, good rotations. It plays well into the playstyle of Tomb where it's a lot of macro. Could we see the same thing again here, Grubby, from the side of Simplicity? Not draft-wise, but just playstyle-wise and their absolute momentum into the enemies of Chili Mountain.
Are you asking me if we'll see more Gul'dan?
I honestly, that is also part 2 of my question. I was actually going to follow up a little bit later in the draft with that, but you read my mind, Grubby.
I hope so. Obviously, I think whatever they did worked there. It was a good map for that draft, and roughly, I wouldn't say Infernal 1-to-1 ratio in being able to import the same draft, but honestly, the Haka Gul'dan variant, you could do worse than that on this map. Right wing, perhaps some mage play like Gul'dan is a little bit more vulnerable on Infernal Shrines because there's more rotational fights where you can get flanked or even backstabbed. Gul'dan doesn't really like that. And usually you want a tank with a little bit more area of effect control than variant, but that draft could definitely work here as well.
We're just getting through some bans right now. No priority onto Stukov, no priority onto Brightwing, no priority onto a Dahaka ban, as I think Chili Mountain is trying to steal this away from the side of Simplicity or force Simplicity into the ban. So there's a Stukov, and wouldn't be surprised if Chili Mountain went into the immediate Dahaka adjusting.
I'm hoping they take the Brightwing. Last game they didn't, and Legacy made it look very good. There are counters, but it feels like it's awkward. And they didn't draft all of them. They would have maybe needed like a Deckard or something with the healing reduction. Okay. Thank you. If the enemy team is banning one of those 2 supports, you should definitely take the other one. So I'm glad that this time Chili Mountain does opt for that Brightwing first pick. I'd say that they're off to a better start already based off that in the draft. Mephisto, they picked it last game. It didn't look great, but I think that's partially because of the map. If they're able to get it last pick again on this map, I think it will definitely be a lot stronger. So I hope that they don't shy away from that if the opportunity presents itself going forward.
You had mentioned counterplay, and the question that I was actually about to ask you is, with Brightwing having such a telegraphed heroic and on a map where everyone does kind of meet at the objective phase to fight 5v5, wouldn't a Deckard Cain or an Ana be very beneficial to the side of Simplicity to mitigate, or even a Garrosh as well, to mitigate the incoming phase shift of a Brightwing?
Yeah, it's definitely easier on this map as well, where those things are stronger. The Deckard Cain is a little bit better here than on most maps. It's his ultimate, both of his ultimates, and just the amount of zone control he has with the roots is just a lot stronger here. There are counters, but I think the pros just vastly outweigh the cons with Brightwing, because she even has a 20 that is basically like a 0.5 second D shield for everybody. Her 20 is really strong as well. I think it's a little bit too hard to... I think it's just easier to pick the Brightwing than it is to counter the Brightwing, because you're going to most likely be giving up too much meta picks in the process.
Alrighty, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. It was just one of those things I was just starting to piece together. I'm like, I feel like Simplicity could just counter it. But Grubby, I've been seeing you thinking very hard over there about what's happening so far in this draft, and what do you think of the evolution of this Infernal Shrines draft?
I think that's a very clever bandit, Diablo here. Nothing ever wrong with the Hakataikas, nor does it show anything. So I think Simplicity has really kept all their important cards in their hand so far, while picking up high priority things. And this is where we're going to see, whether Cure plays other tanks as well, and whether you would want Varian here. I don't think you would love to play Varian here, but it wouldn't be the worst either into what we see so far. It's going to be Johanna. So now he's got a way to jump out of an Entomb, to jump away from a Drain Life. If he goes for Falling Sword, he could go for Blessed Shield. He could go for the big deletion, Drag Tongue, Blessed Shield, Minigun, and Emerald. Definitely could work. And that would work in terms of Simplicity's team spirit that we can see, their synergy, their coordination. But with Cure being a side laner, I also wonder, is he just going to do like a more aggressive engage with Falling Sword or save his team? I'm not sure what's going to be better yet.
Last two picks will be a Tyrael Lunara. Tyrael, I wasn't so sold on him on the previous matchup for Diamond Hands, but they definitely made it look a lot better than my expectations. As we're getting into this last pick, Justin, gotta get your thoughts on what's happened so far in this draft for map 2.
So there's some interesting dynamics here with Leoric into Johanna. Leoric is really strong into Johanna. You can, even though she has her trait, which makes her unstoppable, you can use the Entomb to trap her. I can't get mad at a Lunara last pick. Lunara, I think, should be picked really early in the draft. Kael'thas, I'm assuming that's a Mene pick.
That's Mene.
They do have Kael'thas and Tychus with Odin on the shrine. They have Deckard on the shrine. In general, I'm not a big fan of Johanna, but I would rather have Johanna Dahaka frontline than Leoric Tyrael. They just don't have CC. The Tyrael in our previous match was a very different comp with it. They had a hypercarry Vala and a bunch of bruisers. They don't have that this game. There is a Kael'thas, but I'm heavily leaning towards Simplicity's draft with the Kael'thas.
Unaverted Johanna?
Yeah, Grubby, I think you might have seen me reacting there because I kept seeing players swapping around, and we'll introduce the players in a little bit, but this is going to be an interesting, role swap once again from the side of Simplicity as we're getting into this Infernal Shrines map. Justin, sorry, I was reacting to the swaps. You think, are you calling for a Simplicity win for map number 2, or do you think Chili Mountain can actually bring it on back?
Yeah, I definitely prefer Simplicity's draft here. You can't bet against Mene on Kael'thas. I'm glad to see him playing things that he's known for, the mages that he has, made his name for in the scene. Simplicity just looks a lot stronger in general. Definitely favoring Simplicity here.
Alrighty, well, thank you, Justin, for your breakdown analysis and your thoughts as we are here into map number 2. On the left-hand side, we got Chili Mountain, Make on the Falstead, Max Passion on the Leoric, Smexy playing the Brightwing, Burgult on the Tyrael, and Azerite playing this Lunara. Over on the right-hand side, we got Simplicity with, this is what Grubby and I were already noticing. We've got Cure on the Tychus, Unaverted playing Joanna, Mene on the Kael'thas makes sense, Legacy on the Deckard makes sense, Fancy Pants playing the Dahaka makes sense, but that swap, Cure and Unaverted, I don't know if they're just having some fun or if this is an actual strategy that they've been practicing. We'll have to see, but Grubby, I'm curious what you think about all this.
I don't know, I'm sure Unaverted can play Tychus. It's more of a Cure doesn't want to play tank anymore when it's Johanna or something. He's like, this hero sucks. Who drafted this? I don't really know what happened there. But we see swaps. What's also confusing is that Chili Mountain keeps going back and forth about who's main tank. Again, it seems to be about can you play this hero well? Do you like to play it? Rather than what is your definitive role? Even as they go for Max Passion here, drilling there with Cure 75 health, 50, 72, 19, and 0.
There was an amazing drag from Fancy Pants in mid lane that actually lowered Leoric's health pool to about 50-ish%, and Leoric I don't think ever tapped well. I can check really quickly. No, he didn't. He still is well up and available, so that was just Leoric still already chunked from the initial engagement, and a great rotation, a great read and communication from Cure into Fancy Pants in that solo lane to be able to get this gank, and First Blood goes over to the side of Simplicity as they go into their rotations. And we didn't really talk about level 1s. Unfortunately, I know a lot of you in chat are disappointed. There's no convection on the Kael'thas. It is the most prioritized talent at level 1 for him. I absolutely understand. Burgult, though, will go down. He will try and get some cooldown reduction on his trait by getting the explosion on Unaverted. Gets you 10% off your death timer. And we also have, on the note of these questing talents, with Regeneration Globe is going to be that Laws of Hope for the Johanna, going to scale very well with the Mana Act from Kael'thas. Really liking what we're going to see with those two synergies, but with a couple kills, a little experience advantage, just go over to the side of Simplicity here, Grubby.
Yeah, it's a nice couple of kills, and it's nice to see Menace Kael'thas once again. I wanted to note that I appreciate your restraint for not trying to say it, but eventually you did. I saw you mouth that convection during the draft. And you tried to fight it, but it's too powerful. It's too powerful, you couldn't hold it. And yeah, not this time.
Whenever I cast some games to practice during the week, and also just it's fun to cast community games. If there's a Kael'thas convection, we always do little channel point bets of will he finish convection by the end. And
how often do they in your games?
I would honestly, I would probably put it around like 50-ish% of the time.
Oh my God. Wow. Imagine having infinite mana and a big several thousand point shield.
It's crazy because my chat, whenever they bribe me to play Kael'thas, and I do so, I go convection, and I have this weird issue where I constantly run out of the blue stuff. I constantly need a hard. It's almost like I really wish there was a level 1 for Kael'thas where you wouldn't struggle with mana. It's crazy.
It's okay,
but
as long as the opponent runs out of the red stuff, then you're all good.
As long as you kill, it's like the same thing I said yesterday about Battlefield. As long as you kill the enemy before you run out of mana, you're perfect, right?
Exactly. You're playing the game right. For now, we have Simplicity heading off to a good start, getting a few of the skeletons. We see Falstad and Tyrael doing a bottom pressure, and Simplicity's pants, he's coming in here and he's like, I'm just going to clear the wave so that you're taking tower shots. You can't keep this up and do it for another wave.
Good condemn from the bush into Smexy, which is gonna, oh my God! That snipe with the grenade, melting point from Cure. And as a note, because we always love to talk about these stacks, Master Assassin, 1 stack.
Yep, plus 1, KW. Got that bonus attack speed baseline, and will get extra if he gets 15 kills. Quite a big price to earn. That's missing the drag tongue, but he's getting help. Coming in, Maka dropping low, Brightwing coming through. Smacks with the save.
Good use of the scrollless ceiling in a defensive position from Legacy to make sure that the enemy side couldn't advance into the low Dahaka. I just like that little bit of utilization just to be more defensive rather than aggressive with the scrollless ceiling. But we do have this offensive push for the side of Simplicity through mid lane. Simplicity will find Fort Front Gate, and I think that's going to be about as much as they get. They will take down the side walls, or at least one of the side walls. Polymorph does catch Cure. There's a chase onto him. Gravity Lapse from the shadows, and the fight is re-engaged, and Simplicity are able to burst down Smexy. Another kill, a 4th kill for the side of Simplicity as they go back to the steal on this camp. It seems like it's just the immovable wall that is Simplicity right now, Grubby.
Yeah, they're just showing up and getting kills, and they've got a good team for it in terms of Tychus and Kael'thas. Normally, didn't think Johanna can really get those kills done for the team, but somehow it's working out. Doesn't have a hard lockdown, but as soon as you kind of blunder in the wrong place, Tychus runs in with the minigun, and most of all, no counter pressure on the backline. To the point where Kael'thas and Tychus can move up without even feeling like they're being looked at. That's kind of what's happening here, and they're going to make immediate use of the ults just like an ARAM.
I mean, yeah, you might as well start sieging. Next objective phase is going to be bottom, will be a Frozen Punisher, so this soft siege through bottom, actually I wouldn't even call it soft, this is a hard push through the bottom lane for Simplicity. They're going to open up the Fort Front Gate, and there's still half a level or so for the side of Chili Mountain to be able to get their 10 talent here. So this is so much defensive positioning on the side of Chili Mountain, as you saw a little bit of priority onto that well to try and take it down. That lane sustain almost being removed. Johanna did go falling sword, so I was kind of thinking with the playstyle of Simplicity, it would have been Blessed Shield, but falling sword gives you that cleanse, and it seems like Simplicity will be able to back off from this bottom lane with quite a bit of an advantage, in my opinion.
Quite a bit indeed. That's a nice little push. Mid also sustained some damage, so Simplicity getting value in different lanes. And now the question is, can Dahaka escape the attention of Leoric and Falstad, who are coming top? Definitely both players aren't required for that minion wave, nor is Falstad stacking seasoned marksman stacks for his level 1, like veteran marksman. So why were they there? Both showing up in lane. Vance wasn't going to get caught out by 2 people showing up in the middle of the lane, nor did they set a trap. So I also don't think Chili Mountain is having quite the cleverest vision play or rotations. It's hard enough for Leo Falstad to get the Dahaka, but even less so when you announce your presence.
It's also, you're talking about the way that this map is being played, and I'm looking into top lane. It seems like there was an attempt to swap Falstad in for Leoric into the Dahaka because the tactic of range into melee is often difficult on the melee side, but it doesn't seem like Fancy Pants was struggling whatsoever. He's getting the wave clear, he's backing off, and he's not feeding free stacks over to Falstad. On the note of Falstad stacks, he did hit that 30 mark, which means his damage buff is going to be bolstered by 15% more. So right now at 30 stacks you have 30%, and for every extra stack you're going to get 0.5 on top of that. So we'll see how things kind of shape up. But what also is shaping up, Grubby, is a 13 talent tier advantage. This might be an objective phase that has to be forfeit from Chili Mountain.
Yeah, it's just really smooth play by Simplicity, not leaving much minion XP at all. Looking at the total amount, the minion XP is dead even pretty much, with a small lead by Simplicity because they cleared first. Now they can make use of that heroic again and the abilities that they get offered from their level 13. So Chili Mountain needs to provide a very unified front. They tried to fly in here, do a 5v4 maybe even for a second. Could have been enough, but Pants is here as well. He's not going to actually stay back far. Pants moving forward. Actually, do you see that space that Pants creates? Casting 0 abilities, just walking into that upper bush. Now the isolation on Tyrael. He's just standing in front there, and there's nothing that Chili Mountain can do. They know he's got so many buttons of survivability. Sometimes all you need to do is to walk up. Oh, nice Gravity Lapse! Yeah, that's mana, alright. Gravity Lapse, Flame Strike Ignite, everything hitting perfectly. Getting that triple combo. Lunara was hippity-hoppeting straight to heaven.
If there was ever an example of when to take Netherwind or why to take Netherwind at level 4 for Kael'thas, that is the example, because you increase the range by 30% and you also refund your mana if you hit an enemy hero with the Gravity Lapse, and that Gravity Lapse caught the hoof of Lunara. Like, it was barely out, barely in range to get that, so just Mene giving max range, max value. And this Punisher, they're doing an interesting thing on the side of Simplicity. They're saying, we don't want to push up with the Punisher. We're going to go ahead and open up the map in totality when it comes to forts, and this will be a split siege into top lane from Simplicity. 5-0 in kills. Simplicity macroing, microing, and playing this map as it almost seems like a comfortable play, but Tyrael, he's trying to dive in with Aldruin's Might.
He wants to do a bit of a slow... I mean, this is desperate, right? That flight from Falstad is way too late. It's a very obvious, let's try to fight before 16.
Yeah.
But again, with Burkle just running at them, right? Left to right, front to back. I'm going to run at you. I'm going to slow you. I'm going to hit you. Falstad flies in. They actually see the flight circle so they can fully mentally prepare. There will be no big gust plays there. And then suddenly they just back off. A weak engage... poorly coordinated and thought out, but also necessary to hit the pre-16. Now they're going to try to get Pants. I think they'll be paid off here. If a 5v1 doesn't work, then I think they should just forfeit probably. But yeah, that's going to work out. That's the kind of firepower you need to bring to Dahaka. They get their first kill of the game, and this should result in a lot more. They want the fort. At the same time, Simplicity, they are that 4-man. That is doing something. Remember earlier on in the other series where the solo laner died and the 4-man didn't do anything? Yeah. This is the opposite of that. Double Khazra Impaler through the center and immediate pressure on the keep. That's what you want to see when you die as a solo laner. Actually makes it worth it.
50% of the keep from bottom lane is a big advantage to the side of Simplicity. It also pushes their experience towards that 16 talent tier, and I think Simplicity can kind of walk around map with impunity. I don't think there's Chili Mountain wants to step into this enemy team anytime soon. And speaking of things that are coming up, Mortar Punisher should be announced fairly soon in the top lane, but with the camp in bottom, the Impalers here, seems like Simplicity wants to finish out that bottom lane keep to be able to create some consistent catapult pressure through bottom and also create this sort of ticking time bomb on the side of Chili Mountain when that next objective phase in top happens. It's very much like Volskaya Foundry. If you take down the keep in top and you have control point C, you play that control point C so slow because you have catapult pressure mounting in your favor, and there's really no punishment on your side. But Make is going to get chunked, unaverted, a little far forward from the friendly team. Doesn't seem like the rest of Simplicity wants to step into this.
And here's the issue with Chili Mountain, right? Like they don't have the level 16 yet.
Yeah.
But they're in a 5 versus 4 right then and there. And what does Cure do on Tychus? He steps forward miniguns into Falstad, drops Falstad 40%, Falstad hits him back, he drops to 60, gets the heal from Deckard, and nothing happens. Like, Tychus is a short-range ranged assassin. How do you punish a Tychus that steps up? 5v4, you should be able to do it, even without the talent. But what can Tyrael do? He can just throw a Sword of Justice, he can throw the Bound by Laws, like, okay, I got some slow on you. It's not even close. And there's always Falling Sword to potentially save him, which, by the way, have you seen a Falling Sword yet? So Simplicity's doing everything they want with impunity.
Here comes the Brushstock of Dahaka into the top lane, but a safe position, no aggressive Brushstock into the objective phase. It seems like Simplicity wants to find the fight here. Bene not landing the Gravity Blast, but unaverted, will be able to pull in with the Condemn. Azerite chunking into the enemy side with a lot of damage from the Thornwood Vines, as well as that Choking Pollen level 7. Here comes the Commandeer Odin chunking into the enemy side now. Pants looking to maybe step up. There is a wisp out from this Lunara, but Leoric, he's going to have to Wraith Walk out of this, but he can't. He's going to be dragged by the Dahaka, and the double Flame Strike from level 16 on Mene, really getting the burst damage into this Leoric, as Joanna is hitting that Iron Skin, does have this huge Laws of Hope. A big... Oh, that was a really good gust to just push back the enemy side of Simplicity, but Grubby, the fight will not end anytime soon.
It shouldn't have happened there. Max Bastion dying, actually. He was against like 3 people, and he didn't press the haunting. I mean the whatever, the Wraith, Ghost Wraith Walk thing. He didn't hit it. He's like, "What you gonna do? Tongue me?" Person that got tongued, right? And then he got taken down. Gravity Labs, a little bit of Condemn. He got Perm CC to death. Brightwing C failed. That was the end of that team fight, and it wasn't that bad. Like, they were out-sustaining, surviving the Odin. They were waiting. They had... Chili Mountain had 13 skeletons against 0. And they were out-waiting the Odin. And then Leoric kind of 1v3s on Shrine. He could have just E'd out. He didn't. And just a lot of individual mistakes. But also, they look like mistakes because Simplicity is punishing everything.
Oh, yeah.
And it feels so hard, right? Like, Simplicity knows exactly how much space it can create. Look! Tychus in front 1v5. Like, he doesn't care. He's playing it as bait because Cure is a very good MOBA player and he knows exactly what threats there are. And the answer is not enough.
Make is going to get a hit with the Punisher jump. The keep is still alive. There's a huge drag. A gust comes out. There's your Falling Sword. No level 20 just yet, but seems like the Punisher's pulled to mid and Simplicity backs away, looking for their 20 talent tier, which is going to be coming up in about a quarter of a level. This is looking just really strong for the Simplicity side, getting that top lane keep and kill after kill, not losing out much. I'm wondering what we're going to see at level 20 from the side of Simplicity when it comes to these talents. You think there could be anything crazy, Grubby?
Let's see. We're going to have the upgraded Odin. We're going to have probably the upgraded Deckard ult. We're going to have... the Falling Sword, yeah, and the Flame Strike. Yeah, I think all of this makes sense. Contagion, Odin, all the upgraded ults, and then the Flame Strike range. Since he spec'd pretty heavily into this. You may wonder, why does Mena actually go for the double Flame Strike, the Burn Flash? Normally the noob talents they can pick together with Convection. It's a good sieging tool. I am a bit critical that he's DQing though. DQ has no bonus damage. It used to, but not anymore. It's just bigger. It was hitting it only on the keep. You definitely don't need to DQ there. Mena, great mechanics, but I wonder if he's recently read the tooltip. Things have changed a bit.
I'll be honest, Grubby, and maybe this is where my brain's at hunger-wise, but when you said DQ, I was like, oh yeah, Dairy Queen. Okay, yeah, sure, okay.
I thought disqualification usually.
That actually is probably what should come to my brain when that's said. But our next Punisher is going to be in the mid lane, going to be an Arcane Punisher. And like, we keep seeing great examples of Mene just using that Flame Strike to poke at the forts, or excuse me, the keep front walls, the keep in bottom lane as well. And there's only one keep available through mid. That's where the next Punisher will be. And for the 20 talent tier advantage for the next half a level, it seems like Simplicity want to open up the potential to end game through mid with the next Punisher. But they're going to grab more camp pressure. Seems like we're painting the map red, Grubby.
Yeah, definitely. Just lost that top forward when they lost their solo laner once. Pants on the Haka. For the rest, it's smooth sailing for Simplicity. Little note from chat. Leoric was outside of the Wraith Wall cooldown when he did get taken down on the Shrine. But couldn't have called out. Thanks for that, chat. Missed it.
I didn't know chat could check cooldowns. That's crazy.
Yeah. I guess many eyes, right? Many eyes.
I'm sure someone is a lot better at math than me in chat, so that's probably the reason why. But 20s are here on the opposing side. We have that wind tunnel from the Falstad, buried alive from the Leoric. We got Blink, Heal, Invisible Friends, the upgrade on the Sanctification with the Holy Ground, and then the upgrade on the Thornwood Vine, the Forest Wrath, which now applies 2 stacks of Nature's Toxin, and you also increase the range of Thornwood Vines and the vision radius by 35%. So a little bit of an upgrade there. Will it be enough for Chili Mountain to be able to win over in Infernal Shrines? I think this next objective phase is going to be very telling who takes this map.
Yeah, this should be the decider. If it's pretty safe to say if Simplicity gets this, it's game over.
Big in tune with the Buried Alive, but John is able to somehow get out of that with a Falling Sword. I completely misread things, but either way, Burgle does go down. I'd have to look back in a replay to see what actually happened right there, but still, we have Tychus finding 1 kill. Falstad going for the flank flight, gets the wind tunnel. That kind of pushes the enemy team right into Lunara. Mene taking a lot of damage, pops the arcane barrier from the level 1, and here comes another Falling Sword with that level 20 upgrade for cooldown reduction. 7 seconds on that right now, as Fancy Pants is splitting the Lunara on another part of our screen. Our Observer trying to catch everything, but Leoric will be falling. Meanwhile, in top lane, here comes that camp, plus the catapults chunking into the core, at least the core shielding. Oh, not yet, actually. I thought the catapult was a lot closer. Make to clear things up. But Cure, he actually stepped in through top, trying to already proxy this wave, or maybe put pressure onto Make. This is the Arcane Punisher, Grubby. 2 dead on the side of Chili Mountain. It's looking really strong for the side of Simplicity.
Yeah, exactly. Really, really indomitable play there by them. Just even on different role. Someone like Unaverted, he's been playing nothing but perfect. His team, Cure, has been playing like kind of as a pseudo tank, knowing how to bait resources and try to bait people to come into him. There's another Falling Sword. That means Tychus is completely safe. Maka with the Mighty Gust into core. There's not enough follow-up possible. There's no Leoric yet. Maka dropped real low. Smexy doing what he can to try and keep everyone alive. Meanwhile, Mena getting rooted by the core, but he still gets a big shield from Mana. Then gets a heal. He's still alive. This is ridiculous. Mena poisoned. Never felt better. GG 2-0 for Simplicity.
Simplicity played that map so insanely well, and I feel like it was really hard to punish Simplicity. I just feel like I couldn't see a window for Chili Mountain to even step into Simplicity's side. And I want to get Justin back into the mix and find out your thoughts on that map, and just the overall playstyle of Simplicity is just so dominant.
Yeah, Simplicity putting on a bit of a clinic here. I had said that I wasn't really sure where either of these teams would fall in the standings, so I'm happy to see that Simplicity is the team that's kind of breaking apart here. I wasn't sure about either of them. I was expecting this to be a bit closer than it is, but it's feeling like Simplicity is sort of just outskilling Chili Mountain in this series so far. That game was an example of that. Chili Mountain decided to give the first objective while it was mid, which, if that's their strategy, it's pretty unlucky that the first objective spawned mid, because had it spawned top or bottom, they would have a lane to split in. But since it's in the middle of the map, there's really no good option. If you split top, Simplicity's halfway there. If you split bot, Simplicity's halfway there. So a little bit unlucky on that, but they managed to trade about a bot fort wall for half of mid fort, where Simplicity just took the objective, got half the mid fort, and then Simplicity really knowing how to snowball their advantage, which we saw in game 1. They did it in this game as well. They had better macro. They won pretty much every single team fight. This clip with the Haka was the one moment where Chili Mountain finally got something, but Simplicity, their macro was too good. They went bottom here and they got half of the bot keep for it. They were just always one step ahead, it felt like, at pretty much every single moment. And then even here, they didn't even necessarily need to be in this fight that's being shown in the top. This is just them knowing that they're the better team, because they could easily just be playing bottom and be playing to trade the top objective for the bot keep. But they just know, they're just skill checking them at this point. So it's good to see Simplicity. You know, I know that they're a good enough team to make the proper macro decision up in this point. Like, the theoretical best decision would be to split and just take the bot keep, because then Chili Mountain is in like a lose-lose situation. This is just an example of Simplicity kind of doing what they want. They just know that they're the better team, and that really showed through in this game.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was also watching back as I was listening to you. I was watching back this moment right here, and I was like, "How did Joanna get out of the buried alive entomb?" She actually got her iron skin off before the entomb actually even came out, and was that falling sword value coming through as well. The question that I want to pose to both of you here, and I want to start with Grubby. Do you think if Cure wasn't playing today, would this be a different? Would it be different results, or would we still be seeing Simplicity currently 2-0 against Chili Mountain?
I think Masquerade is a phenomenal tank player, but perhaps he's not as vocal in the calls as Cure. I do think Cure brings a kind of energy and direction for the cast. He's very demanding.
Okay.
He has big demands on himself and his allies when you hear him make calls. So he's not going to tolerate you not following up on that kill on Mephisto and Tomb. And I think that can be quite good when you have good judgment, which he does. It's not very good when you're very demanding and you don't have good judgment, right? So I think that's powerful. In terms of level, I think Cure is one of the best players in HoTS ever. I think Masquerade is also very close to that rank, if not there. So in terms of level, not sure, but in terms of calls, yeah, I think Cure brings a lot here. Still, against what we're seeing from Chili Mountain, I'm feeling like Azurite Maka are playing quite good here. Especially Azurite is kind of like not being paid off for his efforts.
Yeah.
Smexy, Max Passion, and Burkhold are feeling a little rough in this match. They're getting punished quite a bit for their pathing. So either way, I think Simplicity is the big favorite with whatever roster.
Oh yeah, I mean, I agree with Grubby 100% there. I think that, while Masquerade is a good tank player, Cure, what he brings outside of his gameplay is that shot calling, that macro pressure, just the game knowledge that he brings. I think it kind of makes everyone step up their play a little bit. It's similar to something that I discussed, I don't remember what player it was about previously in a week, where there was a player that I said wasn't necessarily their best player if you watch them play, but might be their most important or their most impactful player for the team because of the comms that they bring. And Cure is that type of player where it might not be that he's the best Tychus in the CCL, but he might be the best drafter or shot caller in the CCL. So it might not necessarily be him on the Tychus shooting the minigun that wins them the game. It might be sort of what he brings to the team in spirit and morale and in comms.
We're going to see if Cure can continue to rally the troops that are Simplicity and close things out in a 3-0, or do Chili Mountain kind of start to bring it back, and will this be another hard fight for Simplicity in week number 2 of CCL? Will this be a fight for a reverse sweep? We're going to take a short little break. In that break, I encourage you to hit ! prize pool to check out the Matcherino, and if you'd like to donate towards the prize pool, we always much appreciate it. Currently at $3,160 because of your support. So thank you everyone at home for checking out the Matcherino, for donating and supporting HeroesCCL. We're going to be back in just a little bit to find out if Simplicity can close things out in a 3-0. This is HeroesCCL. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more games. Welcome back, Murky Mains, to HeroesCCL, presented by Wisdom. My name's Bahamut, joined by Grubby and Justing, and we just had a short little break to get ready for what could be a 3-0 Sunday. And Grubby, I gotta immediately ask you, do you feel like it could be a 3-0 day? Because that's where I'm sitting right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be. Just enjoy the show and watch things from Simplicity's perspective. Watch how their heroes move, and kind of try to learn through your screen. Try to touch your monitor when you watch this next game, and just try to pick up the skills that Simplicity is showing. I think that's the best way to enjoy this next one.
Now, we got Springy back with us right now, so I need to ask you, Justing, is Springy a Chili Mountain fan or a Simplicity fan? How is Springy feeling about the series?
I think Springy's definitely a Simplicity fan because she wants some attention right now. So she's trying to get the series over with so she can get pets. She knows that as soon as the green screen goes down, that it's her moment to shine. Some pets.
It's the Springy show.
She loves you.
She really does. It's adorable. We are getting ready for our third map in the second best of 5 of the day, and we can find out that map in just a little bit. It has been a really, really fun series so far. Simplicity just showcasing how strong they've been. And we started out on Tomb of the Spider Queen. All 3 maps are actually chosen by Simplicity, giving first pick over to the side of Chili Mountain. But Tomb of the Spider Queen, 14 minutes and 20 seconds. Infernal Shrines, about 19 minutes. Can the members of Simplicity speed run and have the quickest series in CCL Season 3, because I'm sure there's someone out there who did stats in Season 2. I swear I saw it, of the fastest series, and I'm wondering if the case will be for Simplicity into Chili Mountain right now. But we are loading into Volskaya Foundry, what could be the final map of the day. But I gotta say, Chili Mountain, this is their do or die time, and if you're gonna bring out some explosive hidden pocket strat, your ace in the hole, if you will, this is the time to do it, Chili Mountain. If you've got that crazy Viking composition where you can just siege a lane or something, now's the time for you to bring it out. Nothing about holding your cards to the chest. Try and take a map off Simplicity, because Grubby, each map, win and loss, really, really does make a difference in the latter half, getting into that playoff format.
Exactly, and it might make the difference between rank 6 and rank 7,
Yep.
for example. Just a little look into the future. Does that mean we're going to see Nova again? A little bit of that covert ops bribe play with the turrets?
You know what's funny is I actually tried I did a snipe build because I was inspired by CPX to do the snipe build because it's such insane cooldown reduction. And I actually, because I took the correct town at level 10, I actually got a double kill with triple tap. I had, I think it was like an Asmodan or a Stitches I was targeting, and one of the other kind of grouped up next to the other. So the third projectile it was still traveling as like a Zul'jin got a last hit, so then it kept going and hit the Asmodan, and I technically got a double kill with a triple tap. So
not even 3 kills?
Technically. Okay, well... I just want you to be proud of me, Grubby.
I know you have more in you. I am proud of you, but I don't want you to get too proud.
Okay, all right.
And just kind of stop reaching for the stars here. You have so much potential with triple tap, I believe.
I will continue to practice my Nova, and I will make sure that I keep pestering Storm Esports to draft me in as their Nova player, because I personally think I did better than CPX, but that's just me. And we're talking about what's happening in Chili Mountain versus Simplicity, Justing, and we got a couple bans so far.
Yeah, we did. Both teams still opting to go for the Junkrat and Vala bans, respectively. From both teams, they've been doing that this whole time. This is the first game where Brightwing's not being traded over, with Brightwing and Stukov being banned. And we see that Chili Mountain once again prioritizes their offlaner for their first pick, like they did in Game 1 with the Urel. So it's a little bit strange, Chili Mountain's priority. Going for an offlaner this early, especially when Dahaka's up on a map like Volskaya, where the objective in the early game is not very strong. It's more of a macro style map, because although it's built in a similar way to Shrines, the objective is not nearly as strong as the Immortal or as the Infernal Punishers. So it's a little strange to me to go for that Blaze when Dahaka's available on the side of Chili Mountain, and Simplicity just out the gates going for their big frontline. I'm curious if Simplicity has something fun prepared, if maybe Kier's gonna whip out his Zeratul or something. Depends, I guess.
This is the map.
Yeah, and it depends whether it depends whether Q's planning on continuing to be starting on the roster, I think, because if he's just popping in to do a quick 3-0, I think he's definitely going to want to get at least one Zeratul game in.
And this is, if memory serves me correct, what was it? It was Season 1, correct? Where he debuted the Zeratul on Volskaya Foundry. Yeah, because last season we didn't have Volskaya, and he just annihilated with it, and it was just like that was the day he cemented what a proper Zeratul looks like, to simply put it. I've had friends who have come to me when we play Storm League, and they're like, I've been practicing Zeratul, I've just been watching Cure VODs and stuff. I'm like, it makes sense. Like, why not learn from the best? Like, if I want to go learn Samuro, I'll go to a Grubby stream. Like, if I want to learn some of those really, really good heroes like Zagara as well, I go to a Grubby stream, you know? I get my best hero advice. No?
Yeah, well, right now you'll learn Age of Empires, but
True.
I think I don't know. My best hero at release was maybe Hager. Maybe the best that I've ever played a hero, I think, was Hager at release. But then, of course, he did get nerfed. So maybe part of my power always was the strength of the hero. Yeah, Samuro. Yeah, I like playing Bladestorm, you know. That was his ult. That's what I've been playing since 2003. None of that Illusion Master madness, though it's fun for the fans. Yeah, I've always liked the Bladestorm. But wow, very heavy frontline comp from Simplicity. What do y'all think about this? That's 4 melee.
A lot of damage, Justing. Or
Yeah.
a lot of, tankiness.
Yeah, Simplicity's comp is looking kind of weird. I'm not sure if they're kind of just playing what they want, because opting to pick Leoric and Joe right away, it's weird to me. Chili Mountain's comp is looking pretty strong right now. I'm curious if they'll go double support or not. We'll find out right now. Sort of.
Yeah.
It is the Medivh. Typically, you don't really want Medivh and Uther on the same team because they sort of do a similar thing. They both are sort of burst prevention, not so much sustain. Uther has sustain, but not nearly as much as the Deckard will on the other side. In my own personal theory crafting with this, I think Uther Medivh is playable, but you pretty much need to go Divine Storm on Uther, because otherwise there's really very little to gain from having the Uther. Without that CC, it's basically just Divine Shield is essentially just another Medivh Protect, so we'll see if they do go for that. Both comps are pretty far from what we've seen as being the standard norm here in the CCL.
Do you think that this is the turnaround composition draft for Chili Mountain, or has Simplicity just drafted another comfort draft and has everything they need to take a 3-0?
I think Simplicity has the momentum to win just because they've been owning. That being said, if I don't look at the nameplates at all, I would definitely rather be playing Chili Mountain's composition to Simplicity's, especially on Volskaya where the map's going to go late. I think Diablo will hit a point where he's fairly invincible, especially having an Uther and a Medivh with him. I'll be curious to see whether SMX has put in the tri-mode practice to come to the same conclusion I did, with Divine Storm being what he should probably go. We'll see soon. I highly doubt it. I think it'll probably be E-Shield just based off of his comfort. But we'll see if they can pull it out still.
I do like the idea of going Divine Storm. You know, you have Leyline, Steel Apocalypse, Divine Storm, so there's a lot of layered CC you can go for. So we'll see you after the game, Justin, and we'll see what's going to happen here in our map number 3, Volskaya Foundry. We're loaded on in, and we've got Chili Mountain in the blue on the left-hand side, Azerite on the Cassia, Smexy on the Uther, Make playing the Medivh, Max Passion on the Diablo, and Burgolt on the Blaze. I just realized we have Springy's favorite character in the map right now. On the right-hand side, we got Simplicity, who are going to try and close things out in a 3-0 fashion. Mene on the Falstad, Legacy on the Deckard, Kier playing Maev, Unaverted on the Joanna, and Fancy Pants or Pants on the Leoric. And I'm very much siding with Justing on this, Grubby. I think the momentum's there for Simplicity. I think their shot calling is on point. Chili Mountain looking just a little worse for wear, to be blunt about it all. And hopefully Chili Mountain can bring it back in this game, and I'm proven wrong, but I'm going to lean into Simplicity on this one due to just their momentum, how they've been playing, and their overall synergy today is absolutely on point.
Yeah, it's off the wall. It's really good. But again, if we didn't look at, and this is probably going to be like, what, a kill? A lot of resets there for Cure.
Oh my god. Not a fan of knife resets.
If I didn't look at the team or the player names, I'm calling Chili Mountain 80 versus 20, even though I don't like Medivh Uther together. Burkhold gets caught. His jet propulsion can't get him away because he got body blocked. There's the first kill. Nice and simple gank there. Normally something Medivh should avoid, right? Find where the opponents are, scout them out, prevent those rotations. Now Medivh is a little slower than others, but there's a cool thing you can do where you can place a portal mastery option in the center lane, somewhere near, go top lane, and then when it's needed, you can actually summon it from across the map, the portal.
Ooh.
The range will be taken not from Medivh's position, but from Medivh's option. If you are actually a fantastic Medivh and you're flying, you're constantly pressing 1D, 1D, 1D. You'll leave a portal here, fly away, cancel it with D. Options. Just flying around, I don't see enough people actually leaving options all the time. Maybe it's a little bit too much multitasking, but why not put an option? You know, here, look, that's what I'm talking about. There's an option. You can do that all the time, actually. And in this case, they didn't have to flip the switch because it's a Johanna. They're expecting Unaverted not to press Iron Skin, and he did. So that's counterplayed. But you can make those options all the time. That's why I feel like Blaze maybe shouldn't die at level 1. Overall, though, I am looking at the player and the team names, and because of that, I think Simplicity will win with this really weird and, in my opinion, bad draft. They should get leylined, Apocalypse, destormed. Cassia is good against Mass Melee, low burst. Uther is good against Mass Melee with destorm. Medivh is good because he's going to get Infinity leyline seals in fights. Blaze, jet propulsion. There's no way the Simplicity should be able to win this draft, in my opinion. But because it's them, maybe they will.
That I would heavily agree with you in what we can see just being broken down, but oh my god, Kier is going to go down. That will be a kill over to the side of Chili Mountain. That's probably their earliest kill in this best of 5 series, and I was trying to note that Kier went into this percent-based damage at level 4 with the Sudden Vengeance, but that Sudden Vengeance is kind of bite Kier in the butt as he tries to dive in, tries to get the Fan of Knives, does go down. It's 1-1 in our kills. Diablo able to get the Biotic Emitter. Oh, I thought Joanna was going to steal it away, but Control point A will open up here in the mid lane. We still have camp and top to be cleared out by Simplicity, and Leoric slowing down Azerite, but here comes a dive. There's a lot of damage into Fancy Pants. He is going to get the Wraith Walk away, mops into a few enemy members for the slow. Legacy drops a potion out as Cure is backing away. Some Fan and Knife resets, and for anyone that doesn't know, the Fan and Knives reset is you have to hit at least 2 enemy heroes and put your Fan and Knives on a 0.5 second cooldown. So it's that's the reason we talk about these resets on my Ev. It's just that Fan and Knives can be spammed so long as the enemy team stacks or groups up a little bit too much. Portal to save Diablo. Sudden Vengeance used to try and put pressure onto Max Passion. And Control point A still being held by Make, who should be forced off this point. Though this is really risky, Grubby. Make only has 12 stacks.
He was kind of baiting them in. It's like, yeah, I am vulnerable. Go ahead and come for me here. Goes in with the portal, try to get the cutoff point. Who's the target, actually? It should be Legacy. He's stuck. Azerite is going to let him get away. I feel like they kind of couldn't pick the right target. If there's an overpower by Max Passion, he could get the kill, but he must not have had it. I'm going to click him. Well, of course, now he has it already. I don't know whether he had it then. Didn't really pick target. Meantime, Mene pushed down the bottom wave into the gate. Burgold is going to pick that up. A little bit of damage. And the Protector goes to Chili Mountain nonetheless, despite not getting another kill.
Chili Mountain is going to do what we saw in previous seasons of CCL and move immediately into bottom lane to start sieging into the Control Point C lane. But this is a great example of, what you were talking about earlier, Grubby, about the Dragonite. You don't want to just sit in front of the gate and just try and get siege. You have to back off because there's a mid-max between the amount of health you have and the time on the Triglav Protector. And this Triglav finds the
Fort lane, meanwhile.
Yeah, Fort Front Gate and bottom lane, but yeah, as you're saying, top lane, we have a cleanse onto Azerite from Smexy. Burgle with the Jet Propulsion. There's a follow-up stun from Uther. Legacy was the target, but he's actually A-OK. Pure finding Fan and Knife after Fan and Knife. And Smexy, Umbral Bind will pull him in. There's a Condemn from the Joanna. A lot of damage onto Smexy, and Cure is able to get that sudden Vengeance burst damage. There is still the Ghost form of Uther providing some shielding to the friendly members, and it's actually going to be Unaverted, just kind of floating around saying, cool, hit me, I don't care about the damage. And even though Objective A was won by the side of Chili Mountain, still seems like Simplicity are coming out on top of all of this.
Yeah, that's actually pretty sick because they get the kill with 3 players, Simplicity. And then maybe as Chili Mountain, you're like, well, at least we get bot value, right? Nope. Falstad Leoric was actually pushing in bottom tower and it is gone. Diablo goes down. Should be unkillable, said Justin. Of course, there is Leoric, and there's some CC to take him down. Diablo had how many souls? 99. Well,
that's kind of good.
Yeah.
It's early death timers. Like I'd rather die now and have a lower death timer than lose all my souls at 6 minutes into the game, because this should be Diablo having souls ready to go for Control Point B. That should be up around the 8-ish mark in the game, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe a little bit earlier than that. While we were talking about this in mid lane, while there was the fight, the dive, everything into Diablo, Mene was pushing up bottom lane and got, 20% off of Fort? Like, this is, I think today, Grubby, has been great examples of just split pressure from these globals.
Yeah, and Mene loves doing that with Zagara, with Falstad. This is a 5-man invade. Simplicity very rationally lets it go. There is Falling Sword. There is a Polybomb, though. I like Polybomb against the melee team here. Unaverted is waiting with Falling Sword as long as he needs to. Is he going to Falling Sword in? Yep. Yes, he is. Support his allies a little bit. Was wondering if he was going to pull the trigger on that. And suddenly, Burgold is in Africa. He uses the bunker. Going to pop down the bunker. There's a turret in front. Lightning Breath to zone. That's going to get him away. But that's a 90-second cooldown that Simplicity is happy to burn away.
I gotta get your thoughts on this, Grubby, because I think the expectation from you, Justin, and I when we were talking in draft was Leyline Seal, Apocalypse from Diablo, Divine Storm, and we're seeing quite literally the opposite of all of those things as the Jet Propulsion from Burgle connects onto Cure.
I'm just glad we didn't say Combustion, or we couldn't be more wrong, you know?
I honestly, Grubby, I did think about it. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, ooh, maybe you could do a Combustion combo. I'm like, no, Bahamut, you've talked about Convection already. You don't need to talk about Combustion.
Yeah, that's a lot of ways of heating things up. That there's just no call for it, I suppose. But yeah, Polymorph, it's pretty cool, I guess. There is a lot of unstoppable on the side of Simplicity. That makes it a little harder. Maiev can jump. to dodge getting a polybomb from an ally. You've got Leoric Janna have a cleanse as well, but it can still be nice. It's an interesting choice, though.
We'll definitely have to see if Simplicity or Chili Mountain can make the play into Simplicity with the tools that they have chosen. And the 13 talent tier is over the side of Simplicity, but it's Chili Mountain who are able to get the first initial channel of this second objective.
And Averted goes in with the Condemn, sees a bit of damage potential on Diablo. Diablo gets Drain Lifed, the smallest portal I have ever seen. Is this a portal for ants? D-Shield comes out. There is a Warden Cage. Sorry, the Containment Disc from Maiev. This is like a 3-on-3, 4-on-3. Unaverted.
Stay a while and listen comes out from Legacy, connects onto a few. Smexy trying to get out of here, but is going to go down by the Umbra Bind. Diablo does find the trade into the Joanna, so it's tank for what is, I guess you can consider a tank as being Uther. And Kier does not reactivate the Spirit of Vengeance. I'm just watching the minimap as well because look at Mene in bottom lane once again. He sees the fight in top and goes, time to get a fort in bottom lane. And as I had mentioned at the start when the first Triglav went over to set up Chili Mountain Grubby, this is Simplicity doing the same tactic. They're playing for control point C. This is considered the winning Triglav in most games.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, it's so funny because Mene does this a lot actually, where he's side pushing, and you always wonder to what degree is this a team decision and to what degree is this a player's preference. Because there is actually a lot of autonomy. We heard that yesterday in a player interview where players have lots of autonomy to make their own decisions, where solo laners or ranged assassins can call out plays. And this is a personal thing. Like, this is a Mene thing. It's not just Simplicity saying, let's play the map. Mene is like, yo guys, I'm getting a lot of damage here in the bottom lane, so whatever you're doing up there, you know, that's how that's going to go. And Mene just finally finished what he started, got that bottom fort. Who knows where it's going to go next? What we do know is that Simplicity doesn't care one whit about the Protector. They're legit not standing on the point, even in a 4 versus 0. Too boring, I guess.
The thing I'm looking at right now is Mene has like no mana, but he continues to siege in through the bottom lane, has the flight up and available. We can talk about some stacks in just a second here because the fight will break out. Kier going for the Umbra Bind, pulls in Burgled, who was getting drained by Fancy Pants. Contested point, and we are seeing that 99% over the side of Chili Mountain. They've lost the total control. Here comes the... Oh my god, I thought Fancy Pants was going to get blown up, but no, Mene. Just doing Mene things in bottom lane with 16 talent tier advantage, and there's the Triglav over to the Chili Mountain crew. Fancy Pants applying the Spectral Leech to chunk into this Triglav Protector. No slows can be applied as it is a vehicle, but this is the Grubby.
You know what this feels like, Bahamut?
Season 1 when
this
you and I
like...
mocked the Triglav for...
This feels like a game developer made a new game. It's a pretty darn cool game. A lot of people are starting to play it. Everyone is like reading the manual, learning the game together, discussing on Reddit, discussing on Twitch, on Discord and what have you. People are reading things and they think things are good, things are bad. They read the tooltip. Tooltip says, powerful pushing mechanic. Everyone's like, wow, that's cool. We're going to fight for it. Simplicity is actually like testing it, and they're like secretly discussing like, hey, this thing isn't that good. We're never going to go and get it, okay? We'll always have someone else in the lane. It's like they read beyond the manual of the thing. Unintended side effect of something that the developers coded is that it actually wasn't good. They got a decimal value wrong. This thing is actually hot garbage. It should be melted down for its scrap materials. I mean, this thing walked backwards in a 5 versus 4. Took 80% of its health in damage.
And I don't
took down the bottom wall.
And I don't feel like that Triglav found any positive siege for the side of Chili Mountain. Jet Propulsion will connect onto Kier. There's going to be a dive as well. Vault of the Warden is going to buy her some time as we have the Falling Sword from the Joanna, bunker down from the Blaze, and we still have Legacy trying to back away. Containment Disc will not connect onto Burgled, who's applying a lot of pressure to the backline, and the disengage from Simplicity will happen. Though keep in mind, Mene still has Gust, and there is a Stay While and Listen available from Legacy. He's trying to angle for the Stay While and Listen. He will read a story, but no one's interested in the old man's tale. While Lightning from Cassia comes out, Simplicity spreads, stopping the volleyball play. Unaverted trying to back away. I don't think this Joanna has the Iron Skin, but there is the Gust. Held until the most necessary moment from Mene. I personally was sitting here like, when would I have used Gust myself if I was the False Step player, and I would have utilized it way too early in comparison. Good hold, good play, and Kier tries to re-engage with the Containment Disc. This will it time out? Oh, that's such a good entomb, but how can you portal? What? How can she
portal?
mean, I guess she's like in clickable range, but collision in this game, sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. Hogger, you know, being able to hog wild through about anything.
Only terrain and his terrain works on him. Hog wild through Holy Ground too, probably, unlike the Keg. Meanwhile, fight continues, 18v16, Burgold getting the Force of Will, goes in the bunker so he doesn't get the explosion damage. Nor would it have been particularly threatening, I suppose, on Johanna. Meanwhile, aggressive portal, max passion going in, gets the immediate containment disc. Hold up there, says Cure. Drain life misses from Pants. That may cost him his skeletal body. Nope, he's gonna get away. No brittle boned Leoric here as max passion runs away. What started off looking pretty good. Now Azerite getting yoinked in, gets the D-Shield Tomb. Blaze goes down. A really close fight, but Simplicity is just gonna clean up. There's the Mighty Gust with the aggressive barrel roll, and it is a 5 versus 1 with the Diablo no souls. Mene goes back to his happy place and starts back on what he has been doing so far. Are we going core team? No? Okay.
Are they going core? No, they're not. They're going to containment disc the Diablo. They're going to find the keep. Diablo is going to be going on full death timer, and that's. Wow. I feel like this is one of those situations where I feel like it would have been better for Diablo just to sit in the Hall of Storms and wait for the friendly team to actually respawn. Maybe that's a bit of a toxic comment on my end, but I feel like it would have been better off to be like.
It's a dieback. It's a classic dieback, unnecessarily.
And I don't think, top. Yeah, like I don't think they needed to do that, but Grubby, we got a replay of that huge fight in top lane. I'd love for you to break it down for us.
Yeah, let's check it out as we start rolling the replay of that fight here in the middle lane. There's a lot going on. Cure actually is looking at Azerite, right? Cure gets polyboned, he needs to step away. Now gets 1 fan, 2 fan, 3 fans of knife. Then goes in on Azerite, a little bit too close. Fend. Azerite gets yoinked in. There's the D-Shield too. Meanwhile, on the backline, Blaze gets finished off. Smexy steps up. He stuns Cure, but there's no follow-up damage, and suddenly everything's just going crazy. There's more fans of knives. Mena with the barrel roll forward. To be honest, I think there was 3 times more stuff happening than what I could remotely follow there.
Same.
Nor cast, but that was just... I call it chaos. It really doesn't do justice to the order. To me, it looks chaotic, but that's not how it feels like to Simplicity. They know what they're doing. They've got their eyes. They've got like 5 eyes, 1 eye on every of the enemy heroes, and yeah. How do you escape the notice of a 5-eyed beast?
Use Shield Glare from Joanna, right? Oh wait, no, they have Cassius.
That's actually true. That's true.
I do want to.
But it was close though.
Yeah,
it was close.
I want to talk about this level 20 is actually going to be for Leoric. It's in Buried Alive. It's going to be the Burning Despair, which is such a strong tool into the enemy team of Chili Mountain, chunking hard. And here's actually the one time where we see Simplicity go for the priority onto this Triglav because, as I mentioned, Control Point C is often considered the ending Triglav. They're gonna get out of the Triglav. They use it as a minivan to just walk their way to
Trojan horse.
It's the Trojan horse of Volskaya Foundry. Blaze trying to heal up on the top of our screen. We have a biotic emitter from the side of Simplicity. The Triglav Protector is gonna be utilized by Joanna, and that will start to deal some decent damage into this core. Portal from Medivh to get the backline. Mene positioning for the Gust, manages to do the wind tunnel, and the Stay While and Listen read from Legacy was absolutely beautiful. Triglav Protector will fall, but you know what else is going to fall here, Grubby? The core of Chili Mountain. Mene flying into the enemy side, and this will be a solid series for the side of Simplicity, Grubby. We talked at the start of this Volskaya Foundry game, and I agreed with you as well. You were like, on paper, without the names or anything, this draft looked better for Chili Mountain. But when we look at how the execution was utilized, Simplicity just knew exactly how to pick apart every bit of Chili Mountain's draft. And I got to get Justin back in here to get his thoughts on what happened on Volskaya Foundry.
Yeah, so that game, Simplicity is one of the few teams that seem to really understand this map. This is, I believe, the second time they've chosen it. They seem to like Volskaya. The early game was won by Chili Mountain for the most part, but it didn't really lead to anything significant. So with their composition, like we said earlier, it seems like Simplicity, obviously just the better team. But with their draft, they were finally even in the early game on the side of Chili Mountain, but it didn't really amount to anything. I'm going to do a quick rundown of what the robots did that game. So robot number 1, and he makes her big appearance. Robot number 1, won by Chili Mountain. They got the bot wall, and they had an XP disadvantage. They reached level 10 later than Simplicity after getting the first objective. Robot number 2 was won by Chili Mountain. It kind of ran in circles top lane and like danced a bit in the middle of a team fight and kind of just looked at them before just expiring, just dying. Got literally nothing. Won by Chili Mountain. And then robot number 3, Simplicity takes it to use it as like a clown car or a Trojan horse and rides it up to the core and just hops out. And they pop out and they say, we're ending the game now. And that's how they used it. So not a whole lot of use on the objective that game. As we've seen on Volskaya, you kind of need that 3rd or 4th robot to really have a big impact. That being said, Cure did seem to get picked on a little bit more in that game than the previous ones. I think maybe Maev is a little bit more finicky to play against Chili Mountain than it is in Storm League. Definitely a lot harder to play a hero like that where you're always just on a knife's edge of danger. But in the end, it didn't really matter. He pulled it out in the late game when it mattered. And Mene on the Falstad, Mene was the objective in that game. He was split pushing. He didn't care about the robot. He was just doing his thing. He was having a good time, just killing forts, killing keeps. As soon as they won that fight mid, he just flies straight bottom to the keep. He knew what he was doing. So, yeah, good, well played by Simplicity.
Well, Simplicity will take that match in a 3-0 fashion. I believe we've got Cure on the line ready to go, and we got a few questions for him. Cure, my friend, can you hear us?
Yep, how's it going?
Great. I got to ask you actually the same question. How does it feel to win a series in Season 3 of CCL, and how does it feel to be back in CCL?
It feels good. I was a little bit on short notice because Masca told me yesterday they can't make it, so I was like, oh, I gotta play tank. So, I was spamming some tanks in SL last night, lost a lot of points, but it was worth it.
Well, you won a few points for your friendly team today, so I think that's a fair trade, but I'm not going to hog all the questions. Justin, any questions for Kier?
So I've heard that you're pretty busy with your schooling and other things going on you've got. Hypothetically, if Simplicity were to lose the next couple series, how far down do you think you have to be before you kind of just step in and come back and remind them how it's done, as it were?
No. I don't think. I mean, it just depends on if people are. I'm just subbing if people can't make it. Basically, I'm not gonna take over, but I'm just helping out, watching VODs, telling them, giving some tips, about drafts and stuff like that.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, unfortunately, yeah, you squashed that bug. I'm sure a lot of people in chat were like, "This is going to be the resurgence of Cure this season." So maybe we'll see you in some future weekends when Masquerade gives you about 24 hours worth of notice for the games. But Grubby, any questions for Cure?
Yeah, Cure, you started on tank on Varian on Tomb of the Spider Queen, but after that, there was a switch up. I was wondering what was behind that.
It's because we picked Joe, and then the other day I was subbing for Masca and Scrims, and I played Joe, and I died 7 times. So I think they didn't want me to play Joe, so they were just unaverted play Joe. And I was like, all right, I'll play. I mean, I like DPS.
What's his experience and comfort level on Johanna? He looked really solid. He was quick on the reflexes when he could get picked off and stuff. What was the discussion? Just give us some insight on besides, I don't want to play it.
Yeah, he just said I was like, I'll play Joe, but he was like, I played a lot in Storm League, so I was like, okay. Yeah. That was about it. We just swapped.
Very cool. It's nice to see all of you on some different roles and still perform with such synchronicity. It's really nice.
Oh, Kier, you all had a phenomenal day, and it was nice to see you playing again. Before I even let you do shoutouts, I'm curious to get your thoughts. Simplicity goes up against Wildheart next weekend, and Wildheart had a really outstanding start to their season last weekend, 3-0ing Chili Mountain. How do you feel, or can you give us any insight as to how the team is feeling going up against Wildheart next weekend on Saturday?
Yeah, they're pretty good. We played them in the Chili Mountain Cup before the season. In the grand finals, so that's gonna be a rematch of that. So yeah, I think they're pretty good. I think it's gonna be a really good series. I'm excited to watch that one for sure.
Yeah, really excited. Sorry, I have to correct myself. On Sunday, November 14th, it'll be the first best of 5. So definitely excited about that one. But Kier, as always, any shouts that you'd like to give? The floor is all yours.
Shout out to my guy Free Kid for the duo queue last night. Appreciate the point donation, and yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Well, Kier, thank you for joining us. Congratulations on the victory, and good luck in your scrims practice and play leading into your next weekend matchup. I guess he's out of here.
He's
All
out.
right, well,
Peace.
he's just
busy
snuck
now.
right out of there. He's got to get back to studying and coaching the friendly team. But really, seriously, amazing plays from our teams this weekend. And before we start breaking down what's happened so far today, Justin, I believe you've got the Omega power play from the Wisdom power play game of the day for HeroesCCL.
Yep, I've got the super deluxe mega play of the day, powered by Wisdom. The clip is, we can roll the clip. It's between Simplicity and Chili Mountain in game 2 on Infernal Shrines. And so you see Max Passion goes for an Entomb and he has the Buried Alive, but Johanna has already gotten her Iron Skin off, so she's unstoppable, so she just jumps right out of there. And Tyrael just gets caught by the isolation. This was after they had already had such a big lead, but while this is all happening, Pykus with the Odin and Mene on the Kael'thas is just constantly getting the Shrine monsters. And Falstad goes for a Gust, but Mene is hacking or something and gets this weird blue shield that appears because he must have misclicked his level 1 and didn't go Convection, so he actually survives this as well and kind of just hops out of there. And then Max Passion is just, he's not long for this world. And this was the fight that, after so much winning by Simplicity, this was kind of the straw that built the Chili Mountains back, as it were, in the series. And after that, there was no recovering, as we saw it turn into a 3-0.
It was a 3-0, and we can take a look at what happened today in all of our matches, because there wasn't just the Simplicity matchup. And Grubby, what are your what are your thoughts on the standings looking at them?
Yep, I think as expected, Wildheart, 30k, and Simplicity are separating from the pack. What I didn't expect is Storm to be here, but they had that unfortunate forfeiture last night, which means that we have 3 teams with 2-0, 3 with 0-2. Now, in the case of Storm, I think it's potentially a temporary state. For Chili Mountain and Granite, regrettably, there's always got to be 2 of the weaker teams, and so far I think that is probably justified there. Hopefully they'll be able to improve and win some matches as well. We had a really close race last season. Diamond Hands and Oxygen are in the center, still a lot of potential to go up and down, and both of them actually looked really powerful, so they really have the potential to go top 3 or even better in this season from what it looks like so far.
You know what's most exciting for me looking at these standings is what's going to happen next weekend, Grubby, because we look at Diamond Hands and Oxygen Esports in the middle of the pack, and we can actually find out what our next weekend matches are going to be, because guess who's going to be playing against each other at the start of next weekend?
Oxygen Esports versus Diamond Hands. One of them will be 2-1, one will be 1-2. The 2 middling teams at the moment, as well as finding out who will get their first match series victory in Granite Gaming versus Chili Mountain. Very interesting and almost scripted. A little sus, a little suspicious.
Beckwin leaking the script definitely right now, but I gotta say, the matchup that we're going to be seeing, I'm really excited about Saturday. Like I typically, like, there's like one of the 2 best of 5s that I'm kind of looking forward to a little bit more than the other. But I think both matches next Saturday, November 13th, are going to be just absolutely amazing. Like, is the same for you, Justin, or is there one where you're just like, no, I want to see that one instead?
Well, I'm really curious to see Oxygen versus Diamond Hands, because I have, after the last 2 weeks, I do have some newfound faith in Diamond Hands, and as I said, how they are more of a developmental roster. I think those 2 teams facing off against each other is going to be a really important matchup for both of those teams to see who else makes it into the top 4. So definitely excited. I think either of those teams could make it up to the top 3, top 4.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, but unfortunately we have a whole week to wait. Such a bummer. I wish we could just skip right to next weekend CCL, but that is not the case. But before we start to kind of close out today's broadcast, Grubby, do you have any final thoughts from today's matches?
Well, it's funny. It seems like every weekend or every day even, there's a different assassin that kind of stands out. Yesterday it was Li Ming. Today we're seeing a lot of Tychus. So we do see a lot of things happening here with different drafts from teams, even though we have a few of the usual suspects. Another thing that weighs heavily on me right now is that Azurite looked really good in all of the games that he played. He had either the highest damage in the entire game or with a long shot or with a little shot, but always highest damage, 0 or 1 deaths. Wasn't getting picked off in rotations, wasn't getting picked off in lane, stayed alive in the team fight as much as possible. But it seems like his front line not quite able to be at that level yet. So I'm hoping I'm hoping that they can get some wins there because he certainly deserves it. For the rest, Simplicity is looking much more powerful than last weekend. They started with an 0-2, though Diamond Hands is playing strong. It wasn't just like Simplicity sleeping or something.
Yeah.
But they have played even stronger this weekend, and they're looking once again like one of the teams to beat.
And Justin, same question to you. Any takeaways from this day of games?
Yeah, I'm surprised to see Simplicity looking so strong. And on that note, I was kind of expecting a little bit more from Chili Mountain. And it's good to see Diamond Hands really stepping up after the reverse sweep last week. It's nice to see them kind of catapulting themselves, trending up as it was.
Mm-hmm. I would say that Simplicity Diamond Hands really showcased a lot of strong skills today. We'll see what things look like next weekend because we got a whole week of scrims and practice for all these teams. It's been an exciting day of games and matches. Before we actually close this out, we want to thank our sponsor, Next Level Gaming, for joining us for HeroesCCL. If you live in the Miami area, you can go to Next Level Gaming in their Esports Center, and you can actually watch HeroesCCL on Saturday and Sunday. They're hosting live watch parties. So if you live in the area or you want to travel to that, make sure you hit !NXT in chat to find out all you can. There's a few benefits from playing Heroes of Storm in their Esports Center as well. We want to thank everyone at home for watching HeroesCCL. Really appreciate all the support and all the excitement around the esports that is the Season 3 of HeroesCCL. From Grubby, Justin, and I, this has been an amazing weekend of games. We'll see you November 13th and 14th at our normal start times. And until then, this has been HeroesCCL, presented by Wisdom. You all have a good night. We'll see you in the Nexus.